So, I'm a university student, but what happened to me tonight is making me consider dropping out, or at least look for a place in a different city. The university I go to is in a pretty small city, and it includes a prominent river, which runs straight through the middle of it. Over the past few years, there have been a number of cases of drunk students falling into said river, with sometimes fatal consequences. Since I've been here, there's been a lot of awareness being raised about the dangers the river poses, and new railings have been installed in a couple of the most hazardous areas. So far this year, I can't say I've heard any new casualties involving the river, with the exception of my own personal encounter, which I'll try to walk you through in the following paragraphs. Earlier today, I was at the pub, which sounds bad, but I'll stress that I wasn't drinking. I was just there to chat and play pool. I left at around 5 p.m. It being winter, and it was already dark outside. I think the sun sets about an hour earlier, and the sky was overcast, which meant I had to rely on my phone for light, where there wasn't any street lamps. One such unlit path is the one which goes by the river. It's the quickest way back to my house, so I took it without really thinking much of it. This is my third year at university. I take this path on a regular basis, and I'm sober, so I don't consider taking the long way home. It really is a small city, and I can see houses across the water, but on my side there's nothing. Just trees and the occasional moldy bench. My phone screen being pointed at the ground, I was left with nothing to do but listen to the wind moving through the branches. After a moment, I hear splashing in the water up ahead. I stop for a moment, listening. I get worried when I keep hearing it. I start jogging ahead, phone pointed at the river, looking for whatever is making the noise. Pretty soon I spot someone there. They're treading water, head submerged. I can just see their hands make desperate clawing motions towards the riverbank. They didn't seem to be making any progress. Their movements became weaker. I think they must have fallen in somewhere further upstream and been carried here by the current, because at this point, they're quite far from land. By what little light there is, I watch as the hand then sinks beneath the surface of the water. I'm panicking at this point, but maintain enough composure to look for something to help. Pointless. Even if there was something, it wouldn't have done any good at this point. The drowning person had already completely disappeared. Without thinking too much more, I throw my phone down and dive into the river. It's cold. It's really fucking cold. Immediately, I'm struggling to breathe, but I struggle away from the bank towards where I last saw the person. I get there, but there's nothing. Frantically, I search the water with my hands and feet, looking for anything, but finding nothing. With some reluctance, I take a deep breath and plunge myself beneath the surface. I don't know how deep the river is, but it's only a few meters from the bankside. It can't be that deep, right? Well, after 2 or 3 downward strokes, I've still not found the bottom. I'm trying to keep my eyes open, but to be honest, it doesn't do much. The water is pitch black. I can't see anything. I desperately grope at the water around me, trying to find the person. With a fingertip, I felt something. I kicked further that way and searched frantically with both hands, grabbing hold of something. It's thin, it's cold, colder than the water, but at its end, a hand, fingers. Got you, I think. I feel the long, bony fingers clasp my own. This relieves me, to begin with. I'm still alive. Holding on to the person's hand, I kick and struggle, trying to carry us both back to the surface, but the person doesn't budge. I know how to swim, but no matter what I do, it doesn't seem to rise. In fact, we actually sink further. By the time the other hand takes me by the shoulder, it's obvious that I'm being dragged downwards. In a few seconds, these hideously long arms slam me into the mud at the bottom of the river and have me pinned. My lungs are burning. Whatever has a hold of me doesn't release. I still can't see anything. I'm not sure you can really cry underwater, but if you can, I guarantee I was sobbing at this point. I still have no idea what it was, but I felt something bite my hand, almost playfully at first. It quickly let go before sinking its teeth into my flesh and arm and then my shoulder, biting harder each time, looking for my neck. The pain is intense. Its teeth are short but sharp. It doesn't let go, first tearing its head from side to side. One of my hands is free. I try to punch at it. Being underwater, this doesn't do much. What I felt in doing this could have been a face belonging to a person, but honestly, I don't really know what it might have looked like. It has hair, and I take a fistful of it, and start pulling, trying to keep its snapping jaws away from my throat. I do this somewhat successfully, and it releases its hold on me to try to pry apart my fingers. Almost entirely by chance, my freed hand finds something hard amongst the sediment of the riverbed. It's the bottom of a glass bottle, which still has a sharp break in it. I take it in my palm and drive it below the hand holding the thing's hair, where I hope I found its eye. Instantly, it lets go. I left my weapon buried in the thing's face and kick off the ground, pushing myself upwards. I hear it screaming, louder than you'd think with it being underwater. I surface. My first breath felt fantastic, but looking around, I couldn't bring myself to feel relief. I found myself nearer the middle of the river than where I started. Dry land seemed hopelessly distant right now. My arm was limp. I was freezing cold, which made the swim feel terrifyingly slow. Even so, I started making my painful, arduous journey to shore. The current was always pushing me downstream, but I didn't try to fight it. I'd almost made it to shore when I felt a hand on my foot. I kicked violently and reached my good hand for the shore, finding a tree root to clutch to. My shoe came loose after a moment, and before I could take the opportunity to grab hold again, I hauled myself onto dry land. I'm exhausted at this point, but I didn't stop moving until I reached the footpath, where I collapsed, panting. Behind me, I could hear the thing thrashing in the water, searching for me. I don't think it can actually reach the bankside, so after a while, it gave up, screaming one last time in anger. I'm home now. I've cleaned out my wounds. They don't look great, but I'm reluctant to get them treated properly. What do I say? A dog attack? I don't know. I think I'll tell a couple friends, see what they think.